Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today. Epic's Game Store is making waves. We saw a really big push at the Game Awards announcing a lot of exclusive titles over on that storefront, and now Epic's Game Store has its first gigantic partner, which is Ubisoft. The following information comes from GameInformer.com, who I will have linked in the description down below. The gameplay in the background has nothing to do with what we're talking about, so just kick back and enjoy, and let's get into this juicy bit of info. Ubisoft has announced it is partnering with Epic to bring The Division 2 to the latter's Epic Games Store come launch on March 15th, as well as its own Ubisoft store. It won't be hitting on Steam at that time, however, meaning that the franchise is effectively jumping ship. Pre-orders for The Division 2 on the Epic Games Store are now live for the Standard, Gold, and Ultimate editions of the game. In its press release of the announcement of this news, Ubisoft says the two companies are working together to integrate key components of Ubisoft's Uplay and Epic's online services, which likely means that buying the game on the Epic Store will work similarly to how buying a Ubisoft game on Steam works now, including being able to access Uplay no matter what store you buy it on. Any pre-order on the Epic Games Store will guarantee access to the game's private beta ahead of launch. Now, if you already pre-ordered The Division 2 elsewhere, your access to the beta is still honored, but from here on out, Epic Store is where you'll go to for the private beta. While the press release doesn't explicitly mention the game won't be on Steam, it also doesn't mention Steam entirely. When asked to clarify whether the game would be on Steam, a Ubisoft representative simply clarified that on launch, the game would be available on the Ubisoft and Epic storefronts, and again, did not mention Steam. The press release also refers to Epic's more friendly revenue split with developers and publishers, with Ubisoft President of Partnerships Chris Early also calling out how Epic's third-party distribution model is something Ubisoft wants to support. What's most interesting to note here is that we have a launch coming from Ubisoft next month, which is Far Cry New Dawn, coming on February 15th. But this partnership doesn't go into effect until the launch of The Division 2. This is likely Ubisoft trying to cash in on the title as much as possible, considering that the revenue splits, as mentioned at the end of this article, are much more friendly compared to Steam. For those who are not aware, there is currently an 88-12 split on Epic's Game Store, where usually it's a 70-30 split on any other digital platform. Simple math would say that Ubisoft stands to make 18% more when they work with Epic on their storefront, which seems to be growing at a fast enough pace for Ubisoft to make that jump. I think it also shows confidence in Ubisoft's product that people are going to want to play The Division 2, so they'll follow where the launcher goes. I understand there is some frustration from PC gamers that, once again, there is another launcher. However, at least this one seems to be benefiting the industry in a more positive manner, seeing more friendly ad revenue splits. Quite honestly, I did not consider downloading this until I saw Hades, which is the latest game from SuperGiant Games, being available for early access there. But now knowing that Division 2, which is a game I'm really looking forward to this year because I love post-apocalyptic titles, and the setting of this one has me so jazzed, especially after playing it at E3, I'll gladly follow Ubisoft to the Epic Games Store. What I also feel is going to happen here now is we're going to see a lot of companies follow suit. Ubisoft sort of opened the floodgates here, and I think also the sales of The Division 2 will be more telling. Let's say this game performs well, a lot of companies are going to say that's not just a game performing well, but they're making 18% more dollars by performing well on Epic's storefront. And that will be a big test for Epic in general to see if they can get big games like The Division 2 off the ground to get a lot of sales, get more people coming into the launcher, because the more people supporting the launcher, that's a bigger consumer base, and thus in turn, more game sales. What's also going to be positive about this is it's going to eventually force a response from Valve/Steam on how they can compete with the Epic Games Store. Because if we see more and more developers leaving the Steam storefront in exchange for Epic because there's more money to be made, there's a bigger growing consumer base there, then it will force a positive change, because in this industry, competition is very, very good. It brings out the best of any product you could possibly want, which is why you don't always want to blindly ally yourself with one side or another, but instead try to stimulate competition by voting with your wallet. I also remember Epic offering a better split for the developer in the terms of money when it came to using Unreal Engine 4. So while many people don't like Fortnite, whether because it's popular or they just don't enjoy the game, at least there are some positive effects hitting the industry with this game store, and now also an engine that folks can develop with. That's all the news I have for you today. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this in the comments down below on what I personally find to be a pretty big deal. Fire away, ladies and gentlemen. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that as it fuels all the content I create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.